Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Okay, guys, we're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you.
Rules?
There are no rules.
What rules?
This is a revolution, damn it.
You'll hear things you've never heard before.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and what can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys. Not the good ones, the other ones. A presentation, nonetheless, of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world, including places like MLP, which we'll talk about tonight. My name's Tim. Take off, eh? I'm wearing my Drew Onyx, got my Canadian gear on today, got my Timmies with me right now. There you go. True story, I was named after this guy. True story. That's not a joke. Tim Horton, I was named after. I am joined by my brothers in pod. This gentleman to my right, the way I'm looking at it, this is Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, sir.
You know, I arrived late for Fight Club, and I missed the first little bit, but overall, I think that I'd like to talk a lot about Fight Club and get people interested. And this gentleman on the far end of me here is the fantasy booker extraordinaire of the Alliance, Mr. Dave Scooby. How you doing, Dave?
Doing well. It's Crockett Cup week.
It is Crockett Cup week, and I'm not going because the world's terrible.
I'm stoked for it, but I'm also feeling my age, and I'm over 55, and I'm like, man, 20 plus matches for a night of wrestling. I'm thinking quality over quantity myself, but I'm hoping I make it the whole night. I may have to take an afternoon nap on Saturday.
Make sure you bring a good seat cushion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I carry one around with me in the car now. That's a fair bit. It's Alliance late night. That's a lot of wrestling, Dave. A lot of wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Sam Retro hasn't been here in forever. What's up, Retro? Good to see you, man. Still have a box. Still have a box of stuff sitting in my office waiting to be mailed to you any day now. It's been like a year. I just watching the 57th anniversary of the Drew Onyx match. Yeah, that's right. He was in that. But Alliance Late Night saying how interesting life is. We were all just talking about him. Now he's gone. Rest in peace to Terry Brunk, also known as Sabu, who passed away suddenly this week, just a couple of days ago, guys. And you know, there's a lot of things that can be said about Sabu over the years, but you know, as a wrestler, I always appreciated Sabu. You know, because it's just a very Canadian perspective. He was the only NWA world champion I ever saw defend live before I went to NWA 75. So he had a little special place in my heart for Sabu. But I mean, that was a guy who was ECW. Hey, Jeremy, what was your opinion of Sabu when he was wrestling?
Sabu, to me, I wasn't necessarily a fan of ECW and the hardcore wrestling. I wasn't not a fan of it, but there was a lot that was see-through for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that with Sabu. He brought realism. The man had 1,000-yard stare. He land on those ropes and just stand there and let his legs be until it. I would have busted my ass. You know, that motherfucker, he did it night after night after night and just made it look effortless.
Yeah,
he changed the landscape one scar at a time of wrestling.
He sure did. He actually, speaking of scars, he's the reason that medical glue is a widespread thing now. For those of you who don't know, Sabu you saw those scars on his body, he used to close them with super glue.
Mastisol.
Yeah. And
God awful smelling shit, but it works great.
There was apparently a doctor or a surgeon somewhere who went, and made this a medical glue that, you know, be a little less toxic, I guess, than that stuff. But Dave, you remember Sabu well?
Yes, I do. I've seen him a couple times, and I mean, it's amazing what he put his body through for the sport of wrestling, for a sport that a lot of people look at as, oh, it's the F word, it's not real. It's one of these things of it's predetermined.
Yep.
As almost any sport could be if you run it one way or another. But what he put his body through for the love of the sport, it's just it's insane. And I mean, to think back, I mean, he actually put the Extreme in Extreme Championship Wrestling. He and Paul Heyman didn't have really the best relationship, but they worked with what they had. And I mean, the storyline of him and Taz not touching or having any contact for a year, that's just amazing. That nowadays everything's hurry up and then wait.
Yeah.
Let's get this story told, and let's not wait for a pay-per-view or a signature live event or anything like that. A premium live event. They want, AEW, they bring somebody in new and they want them to go head-to-head with the big names right off the bat.
Yeah.
For a storyline to go over a year without people actually physically touching and just using verbal barbs at each other. I mean, that's just, to me, that's crazy. That you tell somebody nowadays about that and they're like, what? What do you mean they didn't touch? No, they didn't touch for a year.
Yeah.
Well, how'd they do a storyline if they couldn't touch? There's a way of doing things without having to be physical.
It's true.
I mean, it's just it's so insane to look back at at some of the things he did and some of the people he worked with. And I mean, I think the people he worked with mainly, like Taz and Rob Van Dam and the Dudleys, they made each other better when they worked with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Even in Toronto, and I saw him in, I think it was the Atlas Sports Complex. It might have been, a long time ago, but like maybe 100, 150 people there watching in, with the title against, some Scott D'Amore guys and like Larry Destiny and there's a three-way dance. I'll come to me who the other one was later, but like it's a house show. He killed himself. He killed himself in that match. Like off the top turnbuckle out through the tables onto the floor. And listen, mad respect to Sabu. But for the in-ring stuff, we appreciate all of that. Guys in the chat remembering Mongo, we talked there a week or so about as well. Steve Mongo with Michael passing away recently of ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, as it used to be called. And other guys who really showed you. Look, I bought that Lawler. Everybody bought that Lawler coffin thing for 20 years. Nobody knew it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And David Schultz, so that was real. That reporter got money. John Stossel, right? He got money out of that. People who've never taken wrestling bumps should keep their mouth shut. Yeah, well, we can't do that here. I've never taken a wrestling bump, but I have to talk, or like you guys won't show up. But I get your point. What are we talking about this episode, boys? We got the MLP Northern Rising review that this guy got to see in person 2 nights ago on Saturday. I'll tell you all about that. Not going to go all through the matches and then this suplex and that enziguri. No. We'll go through the 8 matches that they had on that show at the former Maple Leaf Gardens. Jeremy's got United Championship Wrestling from the UWN, which is the best thing going on wrestling television. Always seems to be. And Dave Scooby, it's not really so much fantasy booking this week, Dave, as it is just common sense, the 3 acronyms that that the pro wrestling companies everywhere ought to be following. Let's talk about Enzo, the NWA. No. No, I'm fine with Enzo. I'm okay with Enzo. What do you guys think about Enzo?
He's got the gift of gab and the gift of jab. He's not a technical wizard in the ring or anything, but he can fucking run circles around anybody on that microphone. Yeah. And he's passable in the ring. He's not going to hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a journeyman right now. He was in Memphis not too long ago. And runs around as the real one or the unreal one or something like that.
Yeah, the real one.
Yeah, the real one. Listen, I'd be all about that. Any eyes to get onto the NWA, that's a good thing. In the grand scheme of things, let me tell you about Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and Northern Rising back from Saturday. So this is the Mattamy Athletic Center or Complex. I don't know what that is. It's the former Maple Leaf Gardens where the Toronto Maple Leafs used to play. The whole place has been revamped years ago. It's now a supermarket downstairs and I'm guessing a 5,000 seat arena you could open it up to maybe. But for pro wrestling, 2,000 over 2,000 strong for this show for Maple Leaf Pro. This is Scott Demore's new company, and I got a couple of shots here. I managed to upload today. This is from the upper deck. Just looking down to give you a sense of how many people were there. That's a quality turnout, and so Toronto is super excited to see this particular company, which is only 6 months old, back in this particular arena, in this particular city. It's been a long time. And if you looked at MLP's website, they kind of ran a very similar package throughout the night here on the big screen to say, the Canadian title from the NWA stopped in 1984, and we're bringing that back now. And the dream is to bring top quality professional wrestling back to Canada proper. Now, which, I'm sure they'll go to the U.S., but they've been in Windsor in Ontario, which is right across from Detroit. They're now Toronto. They're going to Montreal next. So they've been across the couple of provinces up here. And I will admit as I go through this too, right up front, Homer bias right here. I'm super excited to go. I went with my 15-year-old daughter who just loves pro wrestling. She's the only one of my kids who ever ended up liking it. So we were right down on the floors in the 5th row, and they also had a couple of little interviews and packages with some of the Canadian legends. Ron Hutchison was there, Ron Bass was there, and the Soul Man, Ricky Johnson. I've met all 3 of those guys. I've got a photo somewhere with the People's Uncle, Ricky Johnson, as he's called. Rocky's brother, also one of the Soul Men. Yeah, so they kind of honored some of those legends up front. They had fun things where they talked to them in the back, and then they'd have Matt Cardona, who, by the way, hats off to Matt Cardona, coming in an all-American outfit, just USA, USA all the way, saying, you know, the reason you guys are like back here and not up there is you can't hang anymore. I'm going to take this Canadian title and take it back to the greatest country on earth, the US of A. You know, boo! It was great. So the very first match to start everything off, to kick things off for the night, was Josh Alexander and let me put my face in the middle there, Jeremy. So you don't. There you go. Josh Alexander versus QT Marshall. Right off the bat, just to get the crowd excited. I'll pull up my results here. You think I would have this stuff ready? Yeah. Physical interference from what's his name? The manager, Sheldon John, or I forget. He's in the 20-man battle royal, but that's QT's manager here. He overcomes the manager's interference to submit QT on a sharpshooter. It was a really good opener. Crowd, there's as I'm sure you all know, just from watching the news in life, there's issues on political level between Canada and the USA, and QT, much like Cardona, came out in a very much a pro USA outfit, played a great heel. The crowd hated the American flag. Everything he did was USA, USA. So there was a lot of great good-natured booing, and it helped embrace Josh Alexander, especially on this night, as kind of Canada's chosen son, which I think comes into play later. So he makes QT submit. Then Rohan Roya, who was supposed to be in the gauntlet match, does a little video package saying because he wasn't allowed to do a PWA Champions Grail defense on the show, he's withdrawing from the gauntlet match. I assume he's hurt or he couldn't make it or something. He is going to give an open challenge for the MLP Resurrection, which is next time out. So Josh Alexander defeats QT Marshall. Then we had the whole tempo slowed right down in a way that I absolutely love, as Jonathan Gresham faces Jack Sabre Jr. I got a great photo with him with the backdrop. I'll send you, Jeremy, with the Mighty Don't Kneel. And this was a master class in grappling from start to finish. There was a closing sequence of roll-ups that just one after the other. And in the finish, Sabre ends up ducking an enziguri to transition into the European clutch bridging pin. It went a little bit long, but for me, just loving that stuff. Just, like wrestling. There were no high-flying maneuvers, which I love too. But this was all about just grappling. And after the match, they shake hands here. Crowd really kind of dug it. It slowed the energy down a bit, but, standing ovation from me. We then get Serena Deeb facing Miyu Yamashita. Now, I must admit, Toronto is the fourth largest city in North America. It's like LA, New York, Chicago, and then there's Toronto. And I said, this show starts at 7 to my daughter Peyton. Let's leave at 4. Bad traffic, we'll get there at 6. We got there as the show started at 7. So I had to use the bathroom. And I couldn't. I'm like, look, I got to go. I got to go now. And I chose this match to do it in. But this was, technician versus striker. Yamashita, like all kinds of kicks. And from what I understand at the end anyway, when I wasn't there, it was a decent match where Deeb chop blocked the knee to kind of take out the educated feet of Yamashita to set up the detox slam to finish. But I can't really tell you how great this one was. The crowd seemed to be into it. but I was elsewhere and occupied at the time. Just looking at Cardona knew the assignment, Lou. He sure did, and it'll come into play later, as you might expect. We then go to the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows versus the Bullet Club War Dogs, who I admit some of you guys are much more familiar with the Bullet Club and New Japan and all that stuff. David Finlay and Drilla Maloney. This was the worst match, unfortunately. Love the picture. But this match ended in the referee threw it out. It broke down with brawling on the stage. They just kind of ignored the referee's count, and they fought to the back. Backstage, they issued a rematch. The Good Brothers did for MLP Resurrection. The crowd hated the finish, and it wasn't great. And I like the Good Brothers. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Michael Oku and Gabe Kidd. This was a very hectic three-way, just for the sake of having a three-way. Kidd was bent over working for a pile driver on Oku in the corner, and Bailey sensed his moment and hit the ultra weapon shooting star knee drop onto Kidd's back. And then Speedball ends up hitting Oku with a spinning crescent kick. Amazing showings by all. I have never really seen Mike Bailey up close before, and in person. And he's an odd looking dude, but man, the cat can move. Like all three of them could. It was a fun match to kind of get us back into it after the tag team match. We then get a title defense by your NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, Tom Latimer, seen here holding the title opposite his opponent, Ontario's own Stu Grayson. So, believe it or not, Grayson was the one who largely dominated this match. A lot of early suplexes and dives. Latimer was kind of reeling and stymied for the most part. He tried to slow it down, but Grayson was just having nothing of it with 3 consecutive belly-to-bellies. Grayson went for his nightfall finisher twice, but he was unable to execute, and Latimer escaped the first time with the elbows to the head. Then he fish-hooked the nostrils the second time when he was up on the shoulders for the escape. And then he ended up spearing Grayson out of midair. He tried to do a pile driver, Latimer did. Couldn't get the job done with him. And as Stu kind of, charged out of the corner, half stumbled, Latimer just picked him up into that pop-up powerbomb that he does, pinned him clean. Stu did really, really well on this match. I think it was Big Chris Dog, who said he's going to put on a great showing. He really did. Crowd was really behind him. Very enjoyable. Latimer, I got to tell you guys, no love in Toronto. None whatsoever. The people, there were some older guys there like me who were standing up, NWA World Heavyweight Champion, everybody, right? Respect the title. No.
Denied.
No,
Wow.
denied. Yeah, it was all stew for the fans. Just going back here, Deeb is really good. She is. I really had to go to the washroom. MLP will be heavily promoted, Chris says, by AEW and New Japan, I heard. Deeb is Lou's favorite lady wrestler. That's awesome. I think Deeb's great.
Yeah.
He goes hard in the ring. How do you feel about MLP versus TNA beefing with each other? I won't talk about that right now, but you guys talk, and we can get to that later on if we got time. Because up next was the MLP Women's Championship. This is to crown the inaugural Women's Champion for MLP. Giselle Shaw and Smiley Kylie Ray. you guys may be shocked to learn that I consider this match to be the match of the night. My daughter loves Kylie Ray, but Giselle Shaw was accompanied by, Dave might know, one of you guys might know, the personal concierge he's called in TNA, something Iceman. I don't know. He did a great job. He's like, I don't know. But he did a great job in running down Canada, like the future 51st state. And he's accompanying the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw, to the ring. He's ejected early after getting caught pulling Shaw toward the ropes to break a crossface. She counters an octopus stretch, Shaw does, into a tombstone pile driver. When she tried to do it again, with the abdominal stretch variation up into the pile driver, and Ray put her into the Canadian Destroyer. You do a Canadian Destroyer in Canada? Oh, shit, son. Oh, my God. Everyone just loses their mind. The shittiest move in all of pro wrestling. Everyone loves it in Canada. It's true. I was one of those people. So Ray goes back to the crossface submission. Shaw's really close to tapping out. She grits through the pain. She reaches the rope. And as they break, Shaw goes into the corner. She gets a foreign object, which I believe was one of Kylie Ray's bows with the metal piece on her hand. She gives her the loaded punch, tosses it out, gives her the running knee strike, pins her, and the first ever women's champion. Look, good match, good wrestlers. Not the outcome that my daughter or I wanted, but look, it was a lot of fun. And that leaves only one thing left, and that is the MLP Canadian Championship. Alliance Late Night. Tom's crowd response, liquor response in Peak Sports Entertainment up my way. I don't think MLP and TNA are beefing. Yeah, let me talk about it. So, this is the first Canadian champion since 1984. If they go back to that, they honor the grandchildren or children or grandchildren of the Tunnies who were there at ringside as well. Give them a nice plaque. And the last champion to have this was Angelo Mosca, King Kong Mosca. Was the last NWA Canadian champion. I'm told that the belt was there. That belt was there at the show. I did not see it. The main event, I went, oh, it's a Rumble. I didn't realize that it was a Rumble. I thought for some reason in my head, the way it was advertised, a 20-man gauntlet would mean, until there was a pin or submission and whoever's left faces the next guy. It's not. It's an over-the-top battle royal, Royal Rumble, by a different name. And in the last match, whoever the last two are, they have a match, and then it's pin or submission to win the title. You get Rich Swann, put the pictures up, who lasted a super long time in this thing. I'll go to that in a second. So the full gauntlet that comes out, Rich Swann, who I was really pulling for because he did amazing in this thing, El Phantasmo, Bhupinder Gujjar, Brent Banks, Rhino. The crowd went nuts when this man came out into the place. And I'll share some of the videos through Jay and Jay's social media at the Alliance blog or alliance-wrestling.com. He gored everyone under the sun. Billy Gunn, this is the order they come out with too, and then Psycho Mike Rollins. I like Psycho Mike. A wrestler called Slex, not familiar. Michael Allen Richard Clark, or Mark. PCO, who really got like a tremendous ovation as well. People love PCO. Johnny Swinger or Johnny Parisi, QT Marshall, Josh Alexander, Sheldon Jean or Jean. I'm sorry, I don't remember. I don't know what his name is. And then this guy, Santino Marella, surprise entrance into the boy. Did people blow up for Santino? Followed by Baron Corbin, who you see he's going to try to give the shot to there. Mo Jabari, Raj Deshi, or the former Jinder Mahal, Alex Zane, and Matt Cardona. Notable moments, 3 of them off the top here. Psycho Mike, who turns to the camera and screams, "Does anybody want to see a?" And the whole crowd goes body slam. Like either body slams are his thing. He's body slamming everyone. The crowd blows up, and then he tries to body slam Rhino, and he can't. He tries to body slam Billy Gunn. Have you ever seen Billy Gunn in person? By the way, he looks fantastic for his age.
Man is massive.
Yeah, but he's also super tall. Like I had no idea how big he was.
Yeah.
And he can't. And they both just, he looks sad. And then they both in turn to hug him. Like, it's okay, man. And then he gets fired up and he body slams everyone, in the ring, including both of those guys. He slams Rhino and Bill. So he gets his moment. Then we had, did I get a picture of it here? I hope I did. No, I didn't. I won't bother. But Dan Maff, who was not in this match, appeared and he threw a fireball in PCO's face. And as again, Dan Maff's not supposed to be in the match, a manager type named Jimmy Jacobs comes out, sits in a chair and watches as Dan Maff destroys PCO by choking him out over the ropes with a belt. Then QT Marshall ends up showing up, and like no one's watching him as he kind of comes to the ring. And he just flips them both over the top rope and has a good laugh. Santino was the other one. He and Dyer, he tried to turn the Cobra on Dyer, who just blocks it, turns it around at him and strikes him with it. And of course, it's super devastating to him, and he is comedically thrown over the top rope. The end comes, however, between these two gentlemen who are left in the ring, Josh Alexander and Matt Cardona. Cardona rams Alexander's shoulder. That's the story here, from ring post to ring post to ring post. He ends up delivering the radio silence to Josh. Sorry, 1 second here. That gives my picture. Anyway, Walking Weapon catches radio silence. He throws it into a powerbomb backbreaker. There was a high-risk maneuver, Ric Flair style, from Cardona that ends up missing, and he pays the price. Alexander snatches Cardona's leg for the ankle lock. Cardona is able to escape. As he gets up, though, and you think, what's going to happen here? There's going to be a great finish. Cardona, again, all Mr. USA. The crowd is so behind, this Canadian crowd, so behind Josh Alexander tonight. He punches Cardona in the jaw. He underhooks him, and he gives him the C4 spike pile driver in the center of the ring. Pins Cardona. 1, 2, 3. New Canadian champion, Josh Alexander, for MLP, who gets on the mic and says, pro wrestling in Canada is back. This is the most, I've been a lot of places. I've won a lot of belts. This one means more than anything to me. I'm going to represent everybody here in my home country. Thanks for coming. And that was the show. That was the show, really. You can watch it on Triller TV. You can buy it as part of a standalone package or a bundle package with Resurrection coming up from Montreal on July 5th. I should say, although I was at the show, PW Insider wrote the 99% of what I just read to you off of my form here because they did such a great job. So great shout out to them.
Yeah.
Overall, in the end, if ever given it out of 5 stars, being the Canadian homer that I am, I'd give it 4 to 4.5. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. So let me go back to the chat here, and then we can kind of move along and do some other stuff. But MLP, if you're, I highly recommend that you guys start watching this product. It was really well produced, and I don't know. I haven't seen it on TV yet, but I'm right underneath the big boom cam. It kind of almost bops me in the head a few times. But Steve G asks, who are the champions of Maple Leaf? So now it's Josh Alexander as your Canadian champion, and it's Giselle Shaw as your women's champion. I don't believe they have tag team champions in MLP yet. There you go. Frost, yeah, where's Lady Frost? Frost just wrestled in AEW, apparently, this past week. It's Bishop Dyer. Baron Corbin is no longer here. Did I say Baron Corbin? That's possible. I may have said Baron Corbin. It is Bishop Dyer. And I was really surprised when he went out. I thought, just not thinking too much into it, that he might last to the end because of the name that he is. Yeah, commentary team. Commentary team is Mauro Renaro and Don Callis. Yeah, did a good job. Yeah, you're welcome, Steve. Anyway, I had a great time, guys. I hope you tune in. I had such a good time. Have to say that I kind of feel like, I haven't watched NWA in a long time. We watch NWA territories because, that's kind of what we do. We like to tell you about what's going on in the territories, but I don't watch any of them religiously. If I'm going to watch wrestling, and generally it's going to be UWN. But I kind of feel like completely reinvigorated to go back and get into wrestling again today by this show. And I think that's worth something, whether or not it's just the Canadian angle at a really weird time in North American history right now. But independent wrestling has always been something that I love. I feel like we're going to do more of it up here. My daughter and I go see more. Maybe I'll become Alliance North, Jay. Maybe Alliance North. I don't know. This is the Jeremy look. Anyway, great times. So, thank you for putting up with me for that, fellas. And let's turn it over to a segment I truly enjoy called Championship Wrestling from Germany.
Attention, everyone. One.
School is in session.
Oh boy, is this great!
Let me talk to you.
Get down to the nitty-gritty.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
The neediest of the greedy.
The neediest of the greedy. That is the best part. That's the best part of anything in any video that Dave's ever put together. How were things over in United Wrestling?
Well, we were back at the Irvine Improv again this week. Show started out with the UWN Tag Team Championship match. We had Lights Camera Faction going up against the Wolf Zaddies, the current tag champions. This match was more of a bar fight, really, than a tag title match. The Zaddies got the early jump on Lights Camera Faction before the bell was rung. And for the first third of the match or so, showed off their impressive tag team moveset. Bad Dude Tito made the fans believe that Teats could fly early on with a suicida through the ropes. Once inside the ring, Che was able to keep the pressure on for a little bit before the tide turned in Lights Camera Faction's favor. Weston and Fresco were successful in isolating Che for a while and took advantage of the opportunity to showcase an equally impressive tag team tag moveset of their own. These guys, they work together like a well-oiled machine. I was very impressed with their moveset. And I enjoyed the fact that they had the opportunity that both teams had the opportunity to kind of reintroduce the crowd or introduce the crowd to who they are and what they can do in the ring. I enjoyed that aspect of it a lot. Both men threw everything they had at Che and got a few 2 counts before Che was able to tag in a fresh and ready Bad Dude Tito. Tito made short work of both men and quickly was able to regain control of the match for the Zaddies. However, as the Zaddies hoisted up Fresco for a total satisfaction finishing maneuver, Action Braxton slid into the ring and hit Tito with one of the tag belts. Watson followed suit and slid in and cracked Che with the other tag belt as Che got a hold of Action. Chaos ensued from there with bells ringing and additional refs coming out to help break things up. This one's far from over. We will see this get ran back. Probably a couple times, fingers crossed. Anyways, again, I was very impressed with Fresco and Watson, and it's the Wolf Zaddies. I'm always impressed with those 2 men. They're just straight powerhouses, and really, there's not any style that they can't do. So, but I'm if I were the Zaddies, though, I would definitely be looking to possibly give the nod to one of my TMDK buddies and be like, "Hey, next time we face these guys, we're going to need you out there to keep things on an even keel." We then got another cryptic message about something from who I believe I said was Maximilian last week, and it's not him. They just kind of look similar-ish. I thought maybe I was just stoned.
Maybe.
Touche. But it either way, this guy's still fucking weird. Just fucking weird. And the more I looked at him and went back and watched it, the more he looks like the love child of Antonio Banderas and Cesar Duran from MLW.
Oh,
yeah. He went on about a plague warping miscreants' minds, and their time is up. There's a cure for this apparently, and the miscreants need to stand with delirium or be slayed by society. It would seem to me, and I'm not a mental health or an infectious disease doctor by any means, but I'm pretty sure it would be a bad thing to have a bunch of delirious miscreants running amok. Again, not a mental health or an infectious disease doctor, but this just seems kind of like a common sense thing. There were, however, 2 individuals that were revealed to be standing behind this man. And one was fully masked. The other one had a partial mask, or could have been wearing a hood, and it was like a Repo Man-esque type little burglar mask type thing. But after some research and asking around, Candy!
No.
Dead.
They have a new name, don't they?
They are Delirium. And this is their creepy-ass manager.
I guess, but beef candy.
There's no more.
But beef candy.
The beef candy. No more beef candy.
Yeah.
But either way, though, it's still Flex McCallion and Richie Slade. So,
That's
you know,
true.
business is about to pick up again in the tag team division. And the Wolf Zaddies may just have a worthy contender on their hand outside of Lights Camera Faction.
Yep.
We then get We then go to the ring, and Jordan Castle is in the ring, and he's chastising the crowd for their lack of admiration for his client, Maximilian. He said that Maxie didn't have show muscles, he has go muscles. The guy's in a combat sport. I would fucking hope he has go muscles. But whatever, whatever you got to do to make sure that the guy keeps putting your manager's fee into the bank account every week. Say what you got to.
That's right, man. 10%, baby.
But they introduce Maximilian. He comes out, does his poses and everything, and then they introduce his opponent, Matthias, who is a big old boy. Maximilian's not a small guy, but Matthias had him by probably a good 15, 20 pounds. But right as the bell rang, Castle earned that manager's fee that I was just talking about by distracting Matthias, and this allowed Maxie to blindside him in the corner. Matthias was really unable to get anything going in this match as Maximilian was looking for another squash win. He went for the pin after two short arm lariats before Matthias attempted a comeback by hitting some splashes in the corner and then hoisted him up for a power slam. But Maximilian slipped down and locked in the Max Factor chokehold. And Matthias immediately tapped out. And I went back and watched this numerous times. That hold looks like shit.
Really?
It's a chokehold, but he kind of – it's not a chokehold like I'm used to seeing or anything. It doesn't – from the angle that they had, it looks like this hand on Maximilian's supposed to be pushing up against the carotid, and then his other forearm is supposed to be pushing up on the other one. But going back and watching it, you can clearly see the gap and everything.
Oh.
I'm more of a full Nelson type, cinch you up in there and figure 8 you around and just kind of flex and drop you in a couple of seconds type of guy. Your arms are just kind of wiggly arm guying up in the air like a Bailey guy, like a Bailey fan. And
like Roswell hated it too.
Huh?
Roswell hated it too.
Yeah. It does not look good. But other than that, they're putting a lot behind this guy. This is the second match, I believe, and neither one of them have lasted more than 3 minutes. So it's they're strapping a rocket to him for something. We then got producer Peter Avalon and Johnny LaQuasto in the ring, and they started off saying that at Coastline Clash, there will be a number one contenders match between Scorpio Sky and Kenny King for the UWN World Heavyweights Championship. Peter then said he had an announcement of his own and brought out his best friend, Nico Marquez. Remember that? Who said that at Coastline Clash, UWN Women's World Champion Big Mama will be in action. We weren't told who against. So I'm curious about this. While this was going on, Johnny looked upset about something, and we quickly found out why. As Nico said, there was another announcement, a very special announcement. That's been a long time coming, as a matter of fact. Johnny butts in and says that he remembers meeting Peter on the first episode of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and he really has enjoyed working with him, putting the shows together since they came back. But Nico has financial pull, and he convinced the board to fire Peter. Peter was shocked, and Nico called for someone to get him out of the building. The days of producer Peter Avalon are done. Now, producer Peter Avalon was fired.
Yeah.
I don't know that Pretty Peter Avalon was fired.
Interesting.
So there's an opportunity. I'm hoping, anyways, because regardless of how you feel about PPA, the motherfuckers, he is UWN through and through.
Yeah,
he is as much a part of that as Mr. Marquez is, in my opinion. Again, been there since day one.
Wow.
So this is big, but there were people in the crowd that were happy as fuck about it. He is not without his detractors.
Yeah.
We then go to our main event, which is the UWN World Championship match. Ace Austin versus my champion and yours, Danny Limelight. This was the match of the week right here for me. But the question I have and must ask is this. Is the 825 days of carrying and defending against any and all comers of the UWN World Heavyweight Championship taking its toll on Danny Limelight? In a lot of ways, wearing world title gold is like wearing the ruling ring. The longer the wearer has it on, the harder the toll is on the body. Danny, more often than not, is punching up in his career, and I say that with all due respect. Danny isn't the biggest guy on the block. He's not a heavyweight champion by traditional standards. He's a heavyweight in sheer talent and determination. But it cannot be ignored that his matches of late have been going longer than usual, and it seems like Danny is pulling out all the stops and pushing himself to the limit to ensure his victory. Ace and Danny match up quite well, as both are about the same build and wrestling style. But Ace had a firm grasp on the control of this match for a nice chunk, and only towards the end did it look like Danny would actually pull off the win. It was a hell of a match from these two. Go watch it. It about 25-ish minutes that they got for it, and they put it all out there. Both of these guys are highly talented individuals, multiple time champions in their own rights at various places. But this was, again, I posed the question: is the 825 days that as of yesterday he had held that title, is it, are we starting to see chinks in the armor? There was a point where Danny had to be helped up after the match, not completely off of the mat, but he had to be helped up by the ref. He was clearly favoring his knee. These are questions that I have to ask. I don't want to see Danny Limelight ever drop the UWN title. Again, just like Peter Avalon, Danny is as much a part of the UWN as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he carries that title with pride and honor, and he defends it. Again, to any and all comers that want to try and take it from him. But time catches up with you, and I just, if he loses it, the person that he loses it to is definitely going to have to earn it. But it will be a sad day. And if you're not watching the UWN and all of its affiliated products, you're like me, because I'm not watching all of them either. But if you're not watching the UWN, fuck you.
That can't be a short. We can't make that a short now. Danny Limelight, I looked it up. Danny Limelight is 33 years old. Now, I didn't look up Scorpio Sky or Kenny King, but they got to have 10 years on it.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be, they'll all be around the same level of Danny's tired for that. Danny was on here once with us.
Yes.
The three of us. And he played it so straight, so much like the champ plays it. He was talking about Slice Boogie and how Slice stabbed him in the back, and man, it was great. If Danny comes back out here on the show, he'll probably have something to say to you, my friend. You've been very kind to him. You don't want to see him lose. He is the champ. He's a great champ, but he's tired. I think he's tired.
And you know, I welcome it. If he has a critique of what I've said, we have the platform. You know, and he's been a guest on here before, and he's always welcome at any time to come back in. I mean no disrespect by anything that I say. I'm an honest man.
Sure. Jeremy, does Danny lose to Sky? To Sky. Or Kenny King? Oh, tune in next week, and Jeremy will have an answer.
Yeah, I'll ponder this.
Yeah, I'll ponder this.
I'll ponder this, and maybe Dave can book it.
I would like to see that Dickinson guy come back to wrestling and challenge Limelight. No. Limelight versus Ace Austin was a real main event.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Ace Austin he looked fucking massive.
Yeah.
I know that he's, again, another individual that's not the biggest guy on the block at all, but he looked big in there.
That might be happening. That might be hopping.
Might be hopping.
Hopping it. Hey, what happened?
Hot stuff. Yeah.
What's happening?
Jay said earlier, Matthias is coming to the Alliance.
Ooh.
More than that, Jay. But he can book Danny on here. Danny, I'm just going to bow out for that one. Danny versus Jeremy. Jeremy's got like 8 inches on Danny. Anyway, listen, Danny is awesome. We love Danny. I'm all about you. I hear you though, brother. That's pro wrestling.
Yep.
That's how things happen. Best recap ever. Had a great time listening to you. Thank you so much. And let me go now to the man who anchors our broadcast in a segment we call I Respect You, Booker Man. Let us move him into the spotlight here as David Scoobert, our resident fantasy booker, suggests 3 acronyms that all pro wrestling companies need to follow. What do you got for us, Dave?
Well, the 3 I have, 2 are similar, and the third one is just basic common sense. First, you have KISS, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, or keep it short and sweet. Then you have LIM, less is more. Thirdly, we have MIMS, not the wrestler, but MIMS, make it make sense. Now, before we get into that, if you read novels or like to follow good stories, even stories that have been made into movies, that there's 7 basic plots in storylines that, if translated correctly, wrestling could use. Now, first off, it's overcoming the monster. That good sets out to defeat evil that either threatens and comes after them or comes after others around them. The second is a story of rags to riches, that being the good guy acquires either power, wealth, or both, possibly even a mate, ends up losing them, gains them back, and as a result grows as a person. Thirdly, you have the quest. It's the good guy and possibly some companions. They set out to acquire something, a very important object or a trip to go to a certain destination or location. And in going after that, they face temptation and other obstacles along the way. Next, we have a voyage and a return. The good guy goes out on a journey to battle evil, and after overcoming the threats it possesses or learning an important lesson, they return with experience. There's also tragedy, that the good guy is a hero with a major character flaw, or there's a mistake that they've made that is ultimately their undoing. Then there's the rebirth. An event forces the good guy to change their ways and often become a better person in doing so. And in many of these stories, it's the rule of three, that the third event in a series of events usually becomes the final trigger for something important to happen. That's why in wrestling, a lot of wrestling stories are 2 out of 3 falls, or they go against each other for a third time, the best of 3. Now, the meta plan and the meta plot, it begins with an anticipation stage. And that's where the hero's called to the adventure. It's followed by a dream stage where they go after, and that's where the adventure begins. The hero has some success and has an illusion of invincibility. I can do this, there's no problem. However, this is then followed by a frustration stage in which the hero has his first confrontation with the enemy, and the illusion of invincibility, the illusion of being invincible is lost. Now this worsens in the nightmare stage where they've lost, they're unsure of themselves, hope is lost. Finally, there's resolution. That's when the hero overcomes his burden, battling against all odds. Now, in looking at this, a lot of things is just, it's basic stories. Good versus evil, or sometimes it's good versus good, or evil versus evil. But however you look at it, it doesn't have to be the same every time. You just keep it simple. Keep it straight and to the point, short and sweet. Give a decent to good storyline in wrestling, whether it's, like I said, good versus evil, or for control of a group. But not every storyline has to be about a title. A lot of them have titles which are attached to them. But you look at some of the stories, and I mean, The Lost. You look at the new tag team in the NWA, Alex Misery along with Lev and Gags the Gimp. Well, Alex and Gags were battling each other. Then they ended up teaming up. And in the storyline, my enemy became my friend.
Right.
So it's one of these things of, it's not always good versus evil. Sometimes it's, hey, we're better as a team than we are against each other as enemies. So it's one of these things that, in keeping it simple or keeping it short and sweet, you can either finish a storyline, so then each wrestler can either move up or down the roster. But if you have a simple storyline, just the bare basics, the bare minimum. If you have 2 contenders to any title, do battle for that right to go after the champion, you're telling a very simple story. But in my opinion, only the top titles should have storylines that sometimes become involved with outside events or situations. You want to keep it simple, keep the story there so your audience isn't having to remember, oh, 5 weeks ago this happened, so That's why they're doing it this week. That was 5 weeks ago. Sometimes I can't remember what I had for breakfast, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning, and I ate at 9. So,
Yeah.
I mean, keep it simple, short and sweet, and to the point. The second one is LIM, less is more. And this is just like the keep it simple, stupid, or keep it short and sweet method. There's really no need to overcomplicate things. Just put out the basics, see what develops. If it's an easy storyline, sometimes the simplest things have the greatest outcome. If it develops into something, you can expand it. If it doesn't, you can quickly end it in one match. It doesn't have to play out match after match after match. I mean, like I said, the simplest things have the greatest outcome. Now, I go back to, I think it was 97, King of the Ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin was born. Now, Steve Austin was the ringmaster, but Stone Cold was a direct response to Jake the Snake Roberts' preacher-like persona. He came back and he was preaching, John 3:16 was the reason that he would win, because he found redemption, he found religion, that's why he was going to win. Well, Austin 3:16, Stone Cold was born. Austin 3:16 said, I just whipped your ass. That came out of, he went to the hospital to get stitched up. He came back and was told minutes before going into the final match what Jake had said about him. And it's the little things that sometimes down the line become the big things. Think if Austin 3:16 had never been uttered.
Right.
Think, I mean, to this day, you still see Austin 3:16 shirts at any wrestling event. So
I saw one on Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the last one is, to me, the most important. MIMS, MIMS, make it make sense. Do not overcomplicate things. Sometimes, like I've said before, it's good versus evil, or it's evil versus evil. In these days, you don't have to be the good guy, the bad guy, a baby face, a heel. You can just be a wrestler telling a story. But if the story is good, I'll become interested in it. The easiest storylines to follow are basic and to the point. The more things that are added to any storyline just adds to confusion down the line. When I look at wrestling, it's an escape. I don't want to have to think. I just want to sit and enjoy what I'm seeing. Sometimes, like I've said before, I'm getting to enjoy the lucha style, but I suspend my belief. I don't look at it and go, oh, well, he just did a 360. He shouldn't be able to get up. No, I'm just enjoying it in the moment. So it's one of those things, keep things short and sweet, expand on the story only if it gets traction. If it doesn't, like I said, you can finish a story in one match. If you're not getting the response that the wrestlers think the wrestlers need, finish the story and make a pivot. Like I said before, basics. Less is more. Make it make sense and keep it simple. Basic is the best, in my opinion, for storylines in wrestling. Just the basic points. Once you get people hooked, then you can expand on it a little. But just keep it basic, keep it simple, and make it make sense. For God's sake, make it make sense. I do not want to have to think. I just want to watch and enjoy.
Right. And I think you nailed it right on the head. As a man who is staring this coming week at 20 potential matches at the Crockett Cup, sometimes you need to keep it simple. Like you need 5 minutes in and out for this guy to beat that guy.
Yep.
That's hopefully something that they do. And speaking of the Crockett Cup, Dave, thank you very much, by the way.
No problem.
I have apparently deleted the Crockett Cup overlay. But anyway, you are going to watch. You are going to watch a 16-team legendary tournament at the ECW, the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia this coming weekend. The 16 NWA or NWA adjacent teams compete for the coveted Crockett Cup. You are going to watch. Oh wow! Is Carson Drake defending the TV title, or is he actually going to sit this one out?
I believe. Let me check.
I know you told me earlier before the stream.
Yeah, he's going against Brian Idol.
Oh, okay. Well,
again.
Yeah. Well, so you go to the bathroom during that one, guys. But in the meantime, you are also going to see Mims defending the Natty against
Max.
Against Max the Impaler. Thank you.
Yep.
You are going to see Natty, the other Natty Neidhart, try to take the Burke away from Kenzie Page. Hey, Kenzie, great championship run. Honestly, no disrespect at all. Great run, great character, great champion. It's time. It's Natty's night. I say she takes the Burke right here and now. I think that's going to happen.
It's almost one of those. It's like a rinse and repeat. It's time. It's time for a title change. Have Natty hold it up to the anniversary show, maybe. And then by that time, hopefully they can tell a story that Markova can either move up or I don't know if Kenzie and Kylie end up teaming back up to help the tag teams. But it's one of those things that they just it's time for a change.
I know that you will put. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish up.
I'm just saying it's time for a change. Tweak it a bit. You can always go back to Kenzie and have her win down the line. Because, I mean, she's still young. She has plenty ahead of her. But I think bringing in Natty will be good for the NWA if they can keep her around for the next couple events and tapings. But I think the WWE is also using some of their talent, sending them out to act as a scout.
Yeah.
And look and see, okay, are you good to go into the ID program? Because I could see both Page sisters going into the ID program and in a couple years being in NXT and then moving up.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that I'm looking forward to the Crockett Cup. I'm just that's a lot of matches, and I mean, in the Crockett Cup itself, I could see one or two DQs or short squash matches just to get to the next level, get to the next round. So,
not the least of which next weekend as well, you will be seeing yours, mine, and everybody's NWA World's Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, the fighting, reigning, defending Tom Latimer.
Yes.
Who's all over the place defending that belt, including at MLP this past week, or just 2 days ago, fighting someone else who was at Maple Leaf Pro as well, was Rhino. I was a little surprised that as part of the finish, Rhino didn't come out and spear Tom Latimer and get some kind of DQ. But hey, there you go. That's fine. That's exciting. It's almost like they went, hey, here's the Crockett Cup. And then, the world, our two countries at a political level decided to not get along. And I went, okay, well, I can't go now. And then the NWA went, you know what? Let's bring in Natty Neidhart, and Gail Kim's going to be there for a signing. And Tom can fight Rhino in the ECW arena. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, that was a lot of fun. Hey, Willie's here. He made it. I see Tyrus is on the Judy Craig program. I was just thinking about you, Willie. We went Monday night for Mother's Day, so I'm glad you're here, my friend. We are, I think, just about to wrap it up. However, this, it takes a lot out of you when you're podcasting, guys, as I know you are. Gatorade's not a sponsor. Gatorade Zero is not a sponsor of this program. Talking to you, PepsiCo, but what's sadder than an empty Gatorade? A nice fresh bottle of more Gatorade Zero. It's Gatorade because water is for plants. So,
well, and unless you're in Idiocracy.
That's right. I love that movie. Let's see. What are we doing? We got the. Where are we on the socials? Alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. It's at the Alliance blog on all the socials. They're on Kick. They're on Punch. They're on Sprochat. We're on iGouge. It's igouge.net/org/.com. So at the Alliance blog. On all of the socials, they're there. Where can they find you, Dave?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter X, and Blue Sky every once in a while at Dave Scooby. If you have any ideas for some fantasy booking, let me know. If not, I'll just let whatever's in my brain rattle around and see what it comes up with.
Now, before I go to this gentleman who, like you, kindly pretends no one can actually see what's written underneath as to where they are, and tell us where he is on the socials, even though it's here. You can't exactly give us, I think, unless I'm wrong, the results from the Crockett Cup next week. You'll have to play it around the schedule, or what are you going to do around that?
I really don't know.
Or it'll already be out there. Who knows?
Yeah, it's out there if you know where to look. With the Crockett Cup, I probably will not give the winner. I'll give up to the final four, and then it's up to you to find out. I'll probably end up, if there are a spoiler for a title change, I'll let you know so we can put up the spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah. We got one of those. That's pretty cool.
We've got one of those, but it's just, I don't know what the NWA is thinking. I don't know how they're doing what they're doing. But to make things accessible within 1 or 2 weeks, I could get behind, or even 3 weeks. UWN does a taping, and then they'll wait a week, and then they put it out. So they're a couple of weeks behind, but it's not 3 months.
Right.
That in this day and age where things are at your fingertips, back in the 80s and early 90s, when you didn't have all the spoilers out there, you had to really look for spoilers. Nowadays, you can just click on a button and you're there within 30 seconds. So it's one of those things that I'm not sure how much of a pivot they need to make, but I'd put out Crockett Cup as soon as they could, at least on YouTube.
Get it out there.
Put out some of those. You can still do your power show and have that of the Crockett Cup, the actual tag teams wrestling. But put out your championship titles. Anybody going for a title at Crockett Cup, put that out on YouTube so we don't have to wait.
Right. Agreed.
But I'm not in charge. I just wish I was.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe someday we'll get you in there. And Jeremy, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy Miller and on the Alliance or on Blue Sky at Alliance Jeremy. And also, I meant to mention that the UWN, I mentioned that they are going to New York. We have an official title, I believe, Gotham UWN.
Yeah.
And they will be there October the 16th.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
More programming from the UWN is a good thing. I am at the Alliance Gold, but not really, on Blue Sky, just sometimes. It's so funny, where can we find you? Well, Dave can be found here. Jeremy can be found there. Tim can be found here. And Willie goes, and Tyrus can be found on the Food Network. Oh, perfect timing. Tyrus will be in the Picnic Cup. It's relentless, absolutely relentless. Join us, well, not us, but every Thursday, join the Alliance Guys podcast with J. Cal, DKM, and Jaden, the original three amigos. Thursdays at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And every Tuesday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, the boss himself does the pre-party. It's the hour before Powered with J. Cal. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Oh, one quick, because I have this and I've read it and I don't need to keep it. Next week, for sure, 100%, I will give away a copy of Sabu's Scars, Silence, and Super Glue. It's a good read. It's got pictures for guys like me, but it's his biography. We'll figure it out. We'll give it away live on the air. We're not going to make you do anything. Please like and subscribe. It helps the Alliance out. We're at like 6,200 right now. I'd like to make 7,000 for Jay before, I don't know, what is it, May? Before July. How about that? That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Come on, get out there. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.